This and every episode of REKT Podcast is brought to you by Beaksy Exchange, an upcoming cryptocurrency exchange built in collaboration with One Market Data. Beaksy is bringing legacy finance speed, power, and sophistication to crypto for the first time. With 225,000 transactions per second per pair, comparable to NASDAQ, 15 order types on day one, with 25 order types on full rollout, and a dedicated customer support team, Beaksy is setting itself apart from the competition. Check out Beaksy today at Beaksy.com and pre-register today at Beaksy.com/registration to get your free Beaksy Exchange tokens. That's Beaksy.com, BEAXY.com. Before we get started with Crystal Rose, I want to tell you about our friends at Honey Miner, our first sponsor on the show, and they are back. They have a huge announcement. They are now supporting Linux with Honey Miner Max. Honey Miner Max is compatible with Ubuntu 16.04, Ubuntu 18.04, CentOS 7, and Honey Miner Max pays out market value plus 10%, making it the most profitable Linux miner in the world. It pays out every 2 hours directly to your computer, and you're averaging 10% greater than open market earnings. Honey Miner is awesome and easy to use with its one-click install software, and it earns you Bitcoin straight to your computer. Sound cool? Well, if you are, get over to honeyminer.com/labs. That's honeyminer.com/labs, and follow them on Twitter at GetHoneyMiner.
I'm Crystal Rose, and this is REKT.
Hello and welcome to REKT Podcast. I am Bunchu alongside my co-hosts Crypto Chamber and Cynthia Wood. Chamber, how are you?
Doing real well. It's a good day. We got Crystal on the show today, so I'm pretty excited to end our Valentine's Day segment between Brock and Crystal. So that's pretty exciting. Did you guys get gifts for your significant others yet?
I got flowers from my mother.
Oh, that's sweet.
From or for?
For, not from.
Oh, okay.
I got flowers for my mother. They were delivered today. And then tomorrow I will pick up some stuff on my way home for the fiance. Cynthia, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I did
Child
last
Army?
minute. Yeah, we did Valentine's tonight for their classes.
Oh,
so
fun.
all of that times 5 kids. Yeah, it was.
So is it still like where everybody has to get a Valentine? Is that how it works?
Yep. We have the class names, and they address them to everybody. It's super fun for the moms.
So you have carpal tunnels from writing Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And we have a very special guest today. We have Crystal Rose, CEO of sense.chat, voted Forbes top women in blockchain for 2019, producer for Shios.org. Crystal, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
Wonderful. You know, I always say no one ever asks how I am.
It's like the second person in 70 shows.
Yeah, we've done 70 shows. You are the second person to ask how I am doing. And I'm doing well. I am in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the thriving metropolis, traveling for work. And so I am broadcasting from a Hampton Inn, which is just delightful. Basically,
nice.
Yeah, basically just biding my time till the free breakfast. But anyway, let's get right to it. So we are super excited to have you. I wanted to start a little bit about, I had read up on you a little bit, and I wanted to kind of start with, how did you kind of get into tech, and even before you got into crypto and blockchain? What is your story and background with your getting into tech in general?
I have been a tech geek my whole life. I was really fortunate to have the internet as a kid. So I'm in that generation of analog to digital. We had the transition, and my 10-year-old experience was having a modem hooked up to a computer in my bedroom. So starting at 11, I was in AOL chat rooms and could have chosen a number of things to do, but what I chose to do was learn as much as I could about this thing called the internet. And, really my number one goal was to figure out, how do I make these cool animations that are happening on websites? And I learned how to code at that point. So I started my first internet business when I was a teenager, and I was building websites, building and designing, until I created a digital agency. And I've now had several startups and moved into the blockchain space as a natural evolution of what I believe is the largest technology that's going to help us, radically change everything and connect, just like the internet did.
I think it's funny that you said there was a multitude of things you could have done in an AOL chat room, because that shows my age that I know what some of those things might be. Yeah, that's awesome. So, and then kind of how did you transform, how did you take the dive into crypto? What got you interested? How did you become aware of it? Things like that.
I became aware of crypto really early on. Back when Napster was thriving, I was one of the people excited about sharing music. And at that time, we didn't really have the word decentralization. We didn't know that this was decentralized file sharing and that it was a different system. People were just excited that they could get free music. At that time, I had a development company. So we were already doing digital products, mostly websites. And my developers would run their computers overnight. And I thought, at some point, hey, you're using all my bandwidth for your illegal software pirating and downloading music and videos. But actually, one of my developers, late 2009, 2010, was mining Bitcoin. And he explained to me what that was. And I thought it was the stupidest idea I've ever heard. And I really didn't grasp why he wanted this digital number, this puzzle that was being solved, and it took me a minute to really get the cryptographic aspect. I didn't understand much more than the financial instrument for a long time either. So 2011 there was a value and it kept going up. 2012 we saw all of these different things happen, and I got into it because of that. I also watched the Mt. Gox bubble sort of explode and seemingly destroy everything. So at that point, I kind of lost faith again. Like, this financial instrument is not that interesting. But really what happened was I learned about the actual underlying technology, and that's what changed everything. That was in 2014.
That's pretty interesting. So do you kind of think, I think we're at a point now where we just saw this bubble burst too, and as a financial instrument, you may be seeing people not as interested as they were, or in other, or REKT. Do you are you drawing a little parallel between the two time periods?
I think it's a different type of bubble. The Mt. Gox sort of phenomenon was the same thing as the DAO with Ethereum. It was a mistake, and it's something that it can be course corrected. Now we're looking at bubbles like the volume of actual dollars that are equated to this financial instrument. And if you look at it contextually, I think the market's doing great. Because if you think about the time periods, it just depends on when you got in. If you've been part of the market since January 2018, like, oops, you're not really loving it at this point.
What about November 2017?
Yeah, that's actually the time that our company Sense raised our ICO is at the end of 2018. Mm-hmm. And, we saw a very similar thing happen. If you are raising money specifically to be able to facilitate a company, build products, you're doing it in place of venture capital, which was the promise of the ICO, a new type of financial tool that could help you to raise money. It's challenging when you have a very volatile asset that you are using to back your building. So, I think 2019 is the year of the builders. Everybody in the previous years were hodling. Now we're buildling.
That's right.
That's awesome. So talk a little bit about Sense and, where your vision came from for that and what your goals are for that. Sense
is a decentralized messenger. Really, it's building on top of the same principles and philosophies of everything we love about the blockchain. So what Bitcoin did for digital money was it turned it into a cash type system. It's peer-to-peer. For the first time, we don't have to have an intermediary sitting in between. Sense has the same philosophy. We are doing this for communication. So, today, messages, most people are unaware that they have intermediaries sitting in between of all of their conversations through all of their different messengers. And even text message. You have a protocol in between, you have your carriers, you have your operating systems. And so what we're working on is simply a way to connect a phone to a phone, nothing in between, peer-to-peer. So it's a throwback to Napster and to Bitcoin itself.
That's pretty interesting. So why is that important? Why is decentralization important? Why should people care about that?
Decentralization, I think, is something that is a concept that's going to start to become a lot more prevalent as we see the tools that are being built on blockchain that are beyond cryptocurrency. And it's not so much about like anarchy. Like I think if you think of decentralization, usually people are like, they think, anti-government, or they think lack of governance. And actually what it is decentralization is self-governance. It's just a better overall system. And I think for the importance for us is it puts the power and control in the user's hands of their own data and their own privacy. We've seen this year, especially, so many things going on with Facebook privacy, and we're on the edge of this massive combination of Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all Voltroning into one major company. They already are one centralized entity, but they're going to connect all of their products. And what that means is that if you have a conversation on WhatsApp, you might get targeted for an ad on Instagram, which is kind of innocent if you think about it in the terms of, well, I'm just getting an ad that might be relevant. Maybe the AI looked at my conversation and understands me more than I understand myself. But the reality is that data is getting used for other purposes. And eventually, if it gets sold enough times, you could see things like your credit score or even your insurance getting impacted. So there are a lot of ways in which the data is getting used and combined with other tools that we really should be able to be aware of. So I think Germany, a couple of days ago, they just released an announcement that said that they are no longer going to support Facebook with their ad policies, and they're going to have to start to change. And I think the EU is a forerunner in privacy and has, you'll see it on the websites. Have you ever seen those little check boxes for cookies?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Right. Like literally everywhere.
Yeah. So the whole EU is about protecting your privacy, just letting you be aware of being tracked. And I think that's what a big goal is for decentralization when it comes to tools that have data underlying. For us, we don't want to hold the data. Sense has no interest in tracking user conversations. Sense has an interest in connecting users.
I have a follow-up question here, because this is very pertinent to the conversation I was having a little earlier today. Our work, we went to a sales meeting a couple of weeks ago, and they usually give us like swag bags when we leave. And in the swag bag was an Amazon, is it Alexa? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have not plugged mine in yet. And my wife and I were just having the conversation about, whether or not we should use it. And I said, I'm pretty sure it just listens to you all the time. And I know we're talking about using data on WhatsApp through, you're texting a conversation so they can pick up keywords there. Do we know for sure if it's listening to us, and are our phones listening to us was the other thing. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure this is listening to us, and I'm pretty sure my phone's listening to me all the time, because I can say, hey Siri, and it just pops up like it just did now. So
Oh yeah, if you have your Echo on, I could tell your Alexa to do something. I was on a conference call the other day with my CTO, and I said, Alexa, turn the lights off, and it turned his lights off in his house.
No way.
Oh my God.
So they're
are
very
they reporting
sensitive.
any of that? Like, are they? I guess in your opinion, would you think, are they also capturing some of that? Because my wife thinks she'll have conversations, and the phone will pick up keywords like, oh, I'm thinking about this shirt at this particular store, and then she'll start to see ads for it.
I think that's in our future. The spying,
it's not happening currently?
The spying is real. Well, it's what do you believe? So Apple also just released an article about the developers that were using the camera without your knowledge.
Right.
And so a lot of apps had been recording, and you don't see a notification of that recording. You don't have a green light. You don't know that it's recording you. There was also that breach with FaceTime where you could call someone, and if they didn't pick up, it would still show you their video and audio feed.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think it might not be nefarious. Maybe they didn't intentionally build these tools in, but the fact that the SDK exists for the developers means that somebody can expose it. I think with Alexa, every clip that goes to the server, I believe, is 10 seconds, and they're supposed to delete them if it hasn't picked up the word Alexa, but that means it's shooting a lot of content over to the server. Personally, I think, what are they really going to do with all that content?
I don't disagree.
And it's a lot, but for the AI can crunch that in a matter of seconds. So they can learn your behaviors. I'm a little disturbed recently by the way that apps have known about me before I've told the internet. So, recently Brock and I announced that we have forked our human chain. We're pregnant.
You heard that, yeah. Brock had mentioned that the other day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But the internet knew before I had told the internet. And
really?
I was getting targeted for ads everywhere, and I never posted anything, nothing on Instagram. I had a private group on WhatsApp with some of my girlfriends, and I really believe that there's a crossover of data and analysis that's happening that the companies explicitly get your agreement for. And this is why Germany's taking a stand and saying, hey, don't make people agree to this in order to use the product. You're bottlenecking their ability to actually use and consume the product. So that's the standoff that we have with most centralized companies right now.
So it seems a little difficult, right, to bridge that gap, right? Obviously, that's scary to think about, and we kind of get it because we're, in this space and privacy and all that, and it's important to us. But how do you think we're going to get to a place where it's common for everybody to think this way and want to protect themselves? Because I think I would say 95% of the people, this stuff really doesn't cross their mind. So what bridges the gap? How do we get there?
I think you're completely right about most people not caring so much. Some people think the things I have that I share are not that private. So you could almost consider Twitter, for instance, is like a very public network. Instagram is very public. People are outwardly sharing almost nude photos on purpose. They want to be more publicly available because they want the public or social recognition. So I think the thing that's going to actually help people understand is value. And so you put a dollar amount on their data. And once you start to put a dollar amount on the data and you say your privacy is being brokered on your behalf somewhere else and you're not getting anything for it. 23andMe is a great example. You send them your DNA and all of a sudden they can sell this sample for $300 a pop, and all of a sudden it's $1 billion company. Well, you shouldn't have, first of all, even made me pay the $99 or whatever the fee is now.
Which should be given it.
Yeah,
sure. At the beginning, you're like, wow, it's so cheap. How do I get my DNA sequencing for like $100? But you realize that actually they've profited on you, and then they've profited on your genes over and over and over. It's just this repetitive sale of data.
So I shouldn't have done that, is what you're saying?
No, absolutely
I definitely did the 23andMe.
Do it for science. Do it for science.
I did. I'm good with it.
I think it's valid, though. What I think is really valid is that globally, by connecting all this data together, we're learning so much more about humans and how we interact, and it is a positive. I just think that you should be able to opt in and get a cut. So where's my commission for my data? And that was really the original thesis that we had when we had our first product, which was Sensei, the chatbot network. We were collecting millions, tens of millions of conversations across each network. We had been plugged into every centralized network. So we had Facebook Messenger and Telegram and Slack and Kik, and we were even doing coins inside of these networks before they did their own ICOs and before they even got to think about crypto or blockchain. And we had connected this network of humans together to chat, and we thought that the value would be in reading and understanding the conversations, to get smarter about routing people together, to be able to connect. Essentially, that was our first thought process. What we then realized, though, is that the data doesn't really belong to us. The data belongs to the user. The data belongs to the people who are contributing the content and contributing to the network. So when we did our original white paper, we wrote the thesis that all users should have that value and be able to connect directly to whoever wants to buy it without an intermediary. So we tried connecting them to advertisers. We learned a really valuable lesson, though, which is your data connected with everybody else's data on aggregate is worth tons. It's worth billions. But your data individually is actually worth a lot less than you think.
Right,
we did a great poll. I would love if you guys tell me what you think. How much do you think your Facebook data is worth every month?
Chamber, you want to go first?
Every month, $100.
Yeah,
no,
I don't use Facebook
I wouldn't even say that
as
much. I feel like that makes sense that a huge group, their data would be worth a lot more than just say mine by itself. And I think it's probably less than $100. I don't know.
Probably. Nobody wants to know about me. So the context makes me think it's really, really small.
If you spend money, then they want to know about you.
Well, that's exactly it. And I'll tell you, $100 is the average response. It's the top rated response. Some people go as high as $1,000. And it's actually $4 to $12. And that's if you are a high content sharer. So that's really something to think about. Would you give up your time for $1 or for $2 in order to chat with an advertiser, or to have that be put in front of you? So really what we've done is we've just sort of accepted that ads are part of our daily lives. Now, what the blockchain is great for, though, is this immutability where I, the content publisher, can have a record somewhere and get attribution for that content. And micropayments are possible, so you could give me pennies every time you serve me an ad, and eventually it's going to add up.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you try to calculate how many ads you've seen, and if you had a penny for every ad you saw, yeah, you definitely have a few.
Yeah, and imagine when you click those, and you actually do make a purchase based on those ads.
And they get a nice affiliate commission.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so somewhere down the stream, we want to see the user getting value. Not to say stop contributing. Oh my God, everything is exposed, and there's just a couple of things that need to be improved. And really, that's your personal identity. You shouldn't have to have your phone number, email address, passwords, all these things hacked and exposed all the time. And it's your value. Really, the improvement needs to be happening on the value side. I have totally opted in to use these products. I'm happy with Instagram. I love, the fact that my entire network is on WhatsApp or Facebook, but I really want to see them helping the user get more value out of the time that they contribute to the network.
So, where I have two extra questions here, but since you just mentioned Facebook, I'll stay there. So we've heard rumors and stuff about Facebook possibly getting into blockchain. In your opinion, do you think it's going to be through some kind of messenger and things like that, or where do you see that going?
Well, originally, I think the spearhead inside of Facebook was David Marcus for blockchain, who was leading up Facebook Messenger. I believe he's left the project now, but I think in terms of blockchain, we usually associate that with transactions. So somewhere in the process, I believe that's going to be the link. I can't imagine anywhere else where they would be trying to find value in that way. But I also think that the platform itself, just like Google, makes so much money on their current revenue model that they have no incentive to make any improvements to get rid of some of that revenue and put it in the pockets of the user.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, and that's kind of, I think, what some of the challenges for adoption for, apps and applications and things like that, because it kind of goes against the model of Apple or Google Play or any things like that. Am I wrong about that?
Apple's a really interesting one because they take such a massive cut of every transaction. They take 30% from the developers. So that means that the developers either have to charge more or earn less. And they also have some really rigorous restrictions. And we've run into that, actually. We have an iOS app now. Sense is in pre-order. We have a beta that has a few thousand people who are giving us feedback currently and using the product, but we've had many conversations with Apple about what they consider okay in the world of crypto. And at this point in time, they have even banned sales on blockchain. So they are expanding their word crypto and they are turning it into blockchain. You cannot purchase anything to do with an account or anything like that on blockchain. And that's really problematic because they're removing the aspect of cryptocurrency from the whole purchase funnel because they want to extract that percentage. And I think it is going to be difficult for apps, decentralized apps, so the dApps, to start to launch on these centralized networks.
So where do you see, I mean, obviously then that poses a challenge for you, correct, as well with your project. How do you see yourself either getting around that or working within those parameters?
We're working with Apple right now, and we're working with Google as well. And I think one thing that we've seen is that there's a model that works a lot better, just like Steam it. So I would say out of all of the dApps today, Steam is probably the best example of a really good, well-tuned ecosystem. And Steam doesn't have an iOS app, but they could, because they have a concept of a cryptocurrency, but they also have a concept of points. And points have always been okay to sell on an Apple product. So if you look at like Candy Crush, for instance, all they did was sell in-app tokens or points, and these tokens just couldn't be exchanged on a secondary market. So that's really the kicker, is can you create something that happens only in that ecosystem and then be able to trade it outside? And how do you do that without Apple getting too upset about the way those permissions work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I want to change gears and talk a little bit about how Sense works. So we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but what is the difficulty of taking something like messaging and making it truly peer-to-peer? Because it is the way it is now because originally there was a difficulty doing it that way, correct?
Yeah, there was. I mean, originally messaging was peer-to-peer. So we did have ICQ, we did have AOL. If you remember, and this completely dates me, but it's funny because we're now 2 to 3 decades into the internet being a very standard thing that everyone has in their home and now in their pocket. Originally, messaging was peer-to-peer. If you were online, I can message you. If you are offline, I can't message you. And that is because the server wasn't holding on to these messages. The server was just sending them straight to you. Mostly that's an infrastructure challenge because they didn't have the resources to store everything. That would have been way too much data. Like, I don't know if you remember a JPEG taking like 20 minutes to load.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Back when the internet was basically founded on video, and yet it was one of the hardest things to get to load on your computer. But that is kind of the earliest core of what messaging was. Messaging was this direct connection, IP address to IP address. And so if you're offline, SOL, like you don't get to talk to the other person until they come on. And so you have to just wait there. Now, messaging works differently. Messaging is with a server in between, and that server holds on to your messages and it delivers them when the person is available to receive it. And it's kind of a holding tank. So the way that Sense works is we've combined the best of both worlds. We have the ability to hold on to the message, but without the company having access or any intermediary having access. So the reason why we have blockchain is we have private and public keys. So you're familiar with the way that crypto wallets work. Mm-hmm. Everybody has private and public keys, and you're the only one that has your private key. We can take the public keys, and Sense has created a method that creates an encrypted version of your message that only the people who are intended to have that message can unlock. So the company can never access any of that data. Even if we get subpoenaed, anything like that, it doesn't matter. It's encrypted, but it's encrypted for you. Once it goes off the server, it's on your device. So one of the great parts about the peer-to-peer aspect is this ephemeral nature of the messages. And then it's on your device. That's the other thing. So there's another ad campaign that was run that I thought was really good. Did anybody go to CES?
No.
No, but I followed it all online and all that.
Yeah, see, I used to go to CES every year, and I feel like now that I've moved into more digital, I'm a little bit further away. I love the robots still. There's still something alluring about all the robots. But Apple took over the side of this building with an ad that said, what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. It's like
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like Vegas. They're in Vegas.
Yeah.
And so what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone, and that's really important for us because they're really like clamping down on privacy, saying, listen, your crypto, your private keys, these things happening in wallets, or what we're working on, your messages are not accessible by Apple. It actually lives on your device. And so we are calling it phone to phone. It's the new peer-to-peer. It's phone to phone. That's how everything should operate.
Huh.
That's super
very cool.
interesting. Yeah,
that's very cool.
That's an attractive, proposition. I think that everybody knowing that would want to use something like that. I think, the challenge is getting people to realize that that's something that they should need and want.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it'll take too much convincing.
Well, the biggest thing that I run into usually was when I'm on Facebook with my quote normie friends, and a lot of people don't care about privacy. They don't care about ad targeting, and their whole thing is, I don't have anything to hide. So I don't need privacy. I'm not doing anything illegal and whatever. And it's like, well, you might think differently. Like, if your messages were exposed somehow and it was something unsavory. But I just got a lot of mainstream people just don't really care about privacy.
I think today it's less important than tomorrow, when the only other technology that is probably bigger than blockchain emerges itself as the most powerful thing to take over our world, which is AI. So, AI and blockchain to me are the two huge incumbent technologies that will radically transform literally every industry. Mm-hmm. And AI is in preschool, kindergarten right now, learning we get these facial recognition on our phones now. It's tracking all of our gestures and we don't really realize it. So it's learning. And what happens in a year, 2 years, 3 years, when this data becomes really sophisticated, and when Alexa has recorded enough of your information, and when you put all of the things together, and that's actually looking forward, why we need to start building these tools today that give you options.
I'm just waiting for the day that 23andMe and Alexa combine forces and I get a knock on the door and my replacement is just waiting there for me. It's just a carbon copy of myself, but brand approved.
There's so much data. Even the photos that you take on your phone, every single one is loaded with metadata, like the location. Mm-hmm. We don't realize this. This actually gets thrown onto Facebook servers, whether or not you have your location turned on and you think you're being private. So eventually something will come out where we see how this is all being used. And it already is. These very, very large companies who provide data to people like creditors or insurance brokers, these are the companies that are collecting the data and buying it from Facebook. Facebook isn't even the main data company. It's more like Oracle or other companies that are selling the data to bigger buyers that are kind of giving bigger choices in your life, like should this person have a mortgage?
Right. I just actually switched. Well, I have both now. I take that back. I have an iPhone and an Android that I'm using currently, and I just started using the Android a lot. I have my Google set up, Google Maps, the whole Google suite of products, and I was going through my email, just settings, trying to see what it had access to. And I could pull up every location I had ever been was recorded and connected to my email address. I could see where I was 3 weeks ago at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I was constantly sharing my location so that I could use GPS. So Google knew, it like showed me my route on a map on any given day and where I stopped and how long I was there.
That's
like
wild.
Talk about creepy. So creepy.
We're getting tracked by everything. You know, Fitbit is another hilarious one because it'll kind of track you and show your routes. I've seen some really funny shapes that are drawn. There's by people that are running.
Those people are geniuses, by the way.
Yeah. And you know, again, I don't think that data matters individually. It's when you put it all together and you stitch this story of a person. And I also don't think that we're going to abandon these tools because they're super convenient. And I've bought a lot of different things because I'm targeted. And it's, to me, advertising is, you know, it's a double-edged sword. But it's more about choice. So when you want to transact and you want to do that peer-to-peer, you use crypto. If you want to have a conversation and you do that privately and do it peer-to-peer, you use Sense.
Yeah. So does Sense have a token built into it? And if so, how does that work?
How can I market by it?
Yeah. This is the Chamber Market Buys Everything segment brought to you by REKT Podcast.
So far, so good.
It does. Sense makes sense. So, you know, early on we had on our first product, the chatbot product, Sensei had Sensei coins, and we did that as a share of value because we were connecting people together to have conversations, and they were anonymous strangers. And it was you know, an homage to my original experience with the internet, which was learning something from some willing stranger. But at that time, there was no way to give them value, you know, in AOL. People taught me how to make ASCII characters and all these things, and they were just doing it because they were kind. So Sensei sought to give people value in these Sensei coins. Now, the problem with a centralized token, just like Candy and Candy Crush, you can't trade it. You can't give it away. There's you know, you're earning it like points. It's kind of like Reddit karma. You know, Reddit was like, well, let's create gold so that people have a way to actually give value. But who makes money on the gold? Not the content creator, Reddit. So we created a new system, and the idea was create the token called Sense. We'll let everybody make sense. And so Sense is created by earning it, by doing different actions within the app, and then you can also trade it. We learned a really hard lesson. I'm sure you have had many people tell you about this one, but the transition from, you know, the sort of year of the ICOs, this like golden 2017, 2018, once Ethereum had the smart contracts and everyone was be able to create a token, we learned that the next step was you need to build the application software. And unfortunately, Ethereum didn't hold up. CryptoKitties choked the entire network with the hairball, and we all saw sort of what happened when the volume went to the max capacity. Unfortunately, we can't create a messaging tool or something that requires tons of transactions. So I love Ethereum for lots of different reasons, but we had to move to another platform to create better application software that's scalable, more decentralized, and also no transaction fees. So we moved on to EOS, and we created a protocol to be able to move the token from Ethereum onto the EOS network. And that's currently where we are today. Our token Sense is on Ethereum, and we are going to be doing the migration by the time we launch both iOS and Android, which is actually Pi Day, March 14th, 3.14.
That's cool.
We're going to have some Pi and some apps, and we're also going to be migrating the token. And so we're going to do that at a multiple. We created a protocol called EOS 21. Once it teleports through, in order to give value to the people who've been our fans and our supporters and our token holders, we are going to give them a multiple on the EOS side.
Oh, that's exciting. So you said an EOS 21? Is that what it is?
That's the new protocol, and the Sense token, which is spelled Sense today on Ethereum, is going to turn into SNS.
SNS.
We're dropping the vowels. That's what the cool kids do in 2019.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
So maybe we should rename the podcast RKT.
Yep. Yeah, there you go.
That's good. I like that.
Well, then you can have a token.
Yeah,
That's right. If we ever have a token, if we have a REKT token,
maybe we'll create an EOS 21 token.
So does so do people have to hold the token to use the features and benefits of Sense? And what are the long-term visions for what you might be able to do in the messaging app?
Today you do have to hold the token, and that's a staking mechanism. So here is one really major change between the old internet and the new internet. And we can call it like BC before crypto, or BB would be more accurate, before blockchain, right? And AB, like after blockchain. The new internet, which is being built on the blockchain, has a few features that are going to improve upon the mistakes that we made. The first internet that we created actually was a major mistake and sort of a failure in a way, because we forgot about things like security. And right now things are just kind of open and exposed. Data is really easy to intercept. And we also forgot about value. And that's why we are inundated with advertising as our top internet industry. Let's remove e-commerce. So the improvement is that every person is going to realize that in order to get value, they have to give value as well. The original tools were all free. They endlessly stored our content, and you can't blame them for actually needing to monetize. They're like, wait a minute, we have these servers that are getting jam-packed with all of your videos and photos and all of your, GIFs and your crap. Like, what are we going to do if you're not paying us? And that's actually, that was sort of why the original horrible banner ads started to become so prevalent on all the websites. They're like, well, we'll just get paid per click. That's the way to go about it. But today, I think the new way is going to be people understanding that they pay for services. So, now we don't have Napster and we're not getting free music, but we are meeting in the middle by getting Spotify or SoundCloud or these other tools. It's an intermediary step, and hopefully the next step is that we can pay the artists directly, like Patreon. We can pay for the content. We can get them, the money without that intermediary. But it is an okay middle step, because we're realizing we have to pay something for the music. We don't have to pay for the downloads on iTunes anymore if we don't want to. We just pay to stream it. So that's where I think the improvement is going to happen. Is the next step is people have to see that they have to pay for tools. And the reason I'm saying this is because staking is going to be something that I think is in a lot of these dApps, and people will have to understand. So you basically have some tokens that you hold on the network, and you stake them, meaning that you cannot trade them while you're using the resources, and that gives you the access to the resources on the network. So let's say I want to have a video chat, I stake some tokens, and that provides the network the resources it needs to be able to pay for the streaming of the video.
That's very interesting. It seems like a very intuitive way to do such a thing.
This is how the EOS blockchain works, and this is why we love EOS so much, because you pay for the resources that you actually need. And in a lot of instances, the developer is going to do this on your behalf. They're going to pay for the RAM, they're going to pay for the CPU. But if you pass it through to the user and you do it in a really friendly way, and you can see in the UI exactly what's going on, then you understand, hey, I have a super private and secure video chat with no storage and no interception, and I can do whatever crazy things I want and say whatever I want, and it only costs me 2 cents.
I would do that for 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So I think it's a super valuable tool. I think everybody, once they learn about it, is going to want to use such a thing. So I think that's a great place for us to stop and turn the conversation into some fun and games. So let's do a little newly REKT game. So basically, what this is we've done this a couple times where we've had some people that are, either linked together. We did it with our friends from Bad Crypto, or married, as in this case. So, Crystal, we thought one of the coolest things about you and Brock was that your marriage is on a smart contract. How did you guys come about that decision?
Well, I think Brock and I don't do anything conventionally. So we wanted to see what is going to be the new system of governance that we think, and how can we inspire others to be able to liberate themselves from the confines of the governance that they are currently a part of. And really that was the best way for us to do it. We see our relationship as renewable, and that's like any startup. You should always be constantly looking for improvement and for innovation. So really the premise is keeping ourselves on our toes and giving ourselves an annual review before we get engaged and get married again.
That's pretty awesome.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I love it.
Not to mention Usher was the Usher.
I know, that's so amazing.
I mean, that's pretty cool. All right, so the way this game works, we have 10 questions for you that you are trying to answer Brock's answer. So we did this with him, and he did very well, Chamber,
yeah,
right?
I think he got 6 out of 10.
He got 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10?
I thought it was 7.
Oh, maybe he did get 7. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought I had 6 in my head, but if you guys think it's 7, I'll go with you guys.
He definitely got a passing 70%.
Borderline one.
Give him the extra point.
Either way, he did very well. Yeah. So we're going to play here with you. So Chamber's got your question here. Question number 1, Chamber, take it away.
All right, Crystal. These are Brock's answers, so you just answer what you think he would say. What do you think, question number 1, what do you think is Brock's favorite altcoin?
He has to have said sense.
If
there was anything else, I wouldn't imagine today. But I really hope he makes a lot of sense.
He did make a lot of sense with his answer and chose sense. Very good.
Ding, ding.
So 1 for 1.
Should be rethinking that agreement, that yearly renewal, if it was something else.
Yeah, no kidding. I like the yearly renewal because it keeps you on your toes too. I feel like
for sure.
Guys, maybe it's both, but I feel like guys, I see themselves let themselves go as the years go by. Maybe that yearly contract would keep us in the gym a little bit more.
It's also an excuse to throw a party, an epic 100%. Love party for your friends.
I'm always down for that.
I brought it up to my wife. She said, if we can throw a party and then go on a honeymoon every year, that's fine with me.
This is exactly why the agreement makes so much sense.
Yep.
So we just found our hashtag for today's show, Epic Love Party.
Epic Love Party.
That's a good one.
I like it. All right, question number 2. What is Brock's favorite romantic movie?
Well, let's see. We just watched The Dark Crystal, and we watch a lot of these movies that are really non-traditional in terms of what other people would think is romantic. I would say he probably went with a very classic, though, which I think is more of a comedy personally, but he would say The Princess Bride.
You are so good.
You are good. That is the correct answer, and you're both correct. It is romantic. And it is a comedy. That's one.
I think of it as a comedy.
That's one of my favorite movies. Oh, it's romantic. Are you kidding me?
Inconceivable.
I might put that on tonight. We might have to watch that now that we're having this conversation.
I've argued it's one of my favorite movies. It's not my favorite movie, but I argue that is the best, the best movie scene for scene ever made. I think it's a perfect movie.
It's a cult movie. It's a great cult movie, and that's another reason why I think it works for kind of all the generations.
I was watching Dark Crystal with my daughter the other day, and she really liked that. That was her first time watching, and she really liked that.
That's one of my favorites.
I love it. I'm a big fan. We watched that and Labyrinth back to back. It was fun.
Oh, Labyrinth is so good too. We're gonna watch all these. This will be our Valentine's Day marathon.
That's good. Those are good choices. Okay, question number 3. Which coin or token would Brock purge? So if he can eliminate one off the face of the planet, which one would he do?
Just one?
Just one.
Wow, I can't imagine that he would name any by name if he'd...
Go with your instincts. If that's your instinct.
Either he was really funny and it has to be one of the complete scam coins, or he just said everything. He's like, it's all of it.
Get rid of all of it or keep all of it?
Just all of them. Is it just altcoins or any coin?
So yeah, just eliminate one coin.
One coin.
I think we got to give it to her.
She said it right off the bat.
First time.
What he said is focus on the good coins, but he wouldn't purge any of them.
Oh, okay.
So you were right.
So
I'm giving you
right.
that one. That one's good.
Yeah, we're 3 for 3
That's
here.
very good so far.
She's on track.
All right, question number 4. What's Brock's favorite non-crypto activity?
Ooh, what does he do that doesn't involve crypto? Well, so my answer is travel. Like, that's my favorite, and I know he travels more than anything, but I can't imagine he thinks of that as an activity because it's just natural.
Mm-hmm.
One thing is Brock is a really voracious reader and researcher. So if there is an activity called like Wikipediaing or Everpediaing,
right.
Brock spends a lot of his time gathering information, and this is why I think he's one of the smartest people that I know, because he's able to retain everything and be able to craft really amazing stories. So maybe reading or researching.
Unfortunately, no. He went with social impact, so things to do, you know what I mean, to help, I'm assuming, to help the greater good of humanity.
That's true. Okay, that's sweet.
That's what we went with. So, still 3 out of 4. Still better than I would do.
He does donate a lot of his time.
Yeah. Number 6,
5.
his favorite...
No, number 5.
Oh, sorry. Oh, pardon me. I didn't see that one there. Number 5, would he choose Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Ooh. I would have to say the classic Bitcoin.
I agree. You're correct. I would agree with him, and I agree with your answer.
Bitcoin,
Nobody asked your opinion, Chamber.
Yeah, I feel like Bitcoin will be tried and true forever. Bitcoin's like our, it's the classic.
You're 100% correct. So that is 4 out of 5 so far. Very, very good so far. Number 6, favorite karaoke song.
Karaoke is great. So I have done karaoke with Brock around the world, and everywhere from Japan to Palm Springs, California. I've seen him successfully pull off one song that basically no one else can pull off, and sometimes they don't even let you sing it depending on the hour of the night, which is Bohemian Rhapsody. There's only one other song I've seen him sing or attempt to sing, and the only reason I wouldn't put that as my top answer is because it's in another language, which is Despacito.
that was a big song on the episode with Brock. We brought that one up a couple of times. Unfortunately, no, he went with Aloha. I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's like a new song that I'm just not cool enough to know.
That is one that, what's funny about that is that's the song we sang this morning. So we both really love this song, Aloha Keakua. Yeah, by Nako Bear and Medicine for the People. If you look it up on YouTube, it's actually one of the most incredible 10-minute long music videos you've ever seen in your life.
Really?
It's beautiful, one of the best. And we actually sang that song together this morning.
That's probably why it was.
I'm gonna look this up. Who sings it?
It's Nako, Nahko, and the word bear, like the animal, and it's called Aloha. Just put up Aloha, and get the 10-minute one. It's so beautiful.
The funny thing is, I think on his episode, he said both of those other songs that you mentioned about you. He said Despacito and
Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yeah,
he did.
So if it wasn't for singing it this morning, you probably would have got the right answer.
Despacito is a hard one to sing. Unless you know the Spanish.
Yeah, no, that's a tough one. Question number 7. What thing what thing do you do that drives him crazy?
Besides everything? Is that an answer?
No.
Let's see. What do I do that drives him crazy? I'm really detail oriented and sort of meticulous and an organizer. I don't want to say like a naggy organizer, but I probably. Maybe he said I text him too much. I'm going to actually just kind of say like it's something that has to do with me being like a little too present and
fair enough. He actually left it blank.
Oh.
He's such a sweetheart.
Brock.
Well, okay, so I'm going to assume that means nothing, and I'm
There you go.
perfect. So there we go.
So
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's what he intended. So, Bunch, out of curiosity, what would your fiance say about you? What would drive her crazy about you?
This is only an hour-long podcast, Chamber. I don't have time for that. I'm gonna ask her that, and I will give you a follow-up next episode.
All right, I gotta know. Same with
But-
you, Cynthia. I want to know these answers
Okay.
because I already know what my wife would say about me.
Either he left it blank because he doesn't want to admit anything and upset me, or I'll just assume he was being the most sweet husband ever.
I think we're gonna go with that one. I love what I love is
Considering you are carrying his child right now, I think he's going to be just as nice
Extra
as
nice, huh?
possible.
All right, so if I have to give an answer here, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm gonna lock in that she would say I watch too much sports,
Oh,
and
really?
she's not a sports fan. So like, I'm gonna lock that in, and now I'll go back and ask her, and then I'll see what she says, and I'll report
every
back.
Sunday. My wife thanks me for not loving football. I'm like, oh, thanks for not loving football. All right. Question number 8. Would Brock choose a Trezor or a Ledger, a hardware wallet?
Good question. Well, I don't want to reveal too much because that means that we might get targeted and somebody could come and steal his Trezor or his Ledger. I would say we have both, but Brock bought more Trezors and I bought more Ledgers in the period of us buying our cold storage hardware. So maybe he would say Trezor, but this is a hard one because I think the Ledger is more updated now. Maybe he said both. Is that an answer?
He went with Trezor. I'm going to give that one
he
to you.
did.
I feel like you were. I think you
Oh
were
yeah,
hitting the
that
nail
was
on it.
100%.
Yeah.
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 So what is that?
Wait, were we on question 9?
We are on question 9 now.
1, 2, 3, 4. She's got 5.
Not bad. Okay.
You remember, like, when they became really popular, everybody was wearing them around their neck, like kind of
Yep.
like the new gold chain. Like I've got the Ledger. We got
Trezor chain.
look at all my crypto.
I was going to say it's almost the anniversary where my mother bought me my first hardware wallet. It was my birthday. My mom still gets me birthday presents
Is it
because
still,
That's a great mom.
Still factory
Yeah, for
sealed?
sure.
yeah, I know. I think
Still got the wrapper on it.
No, you know where all the ledgers are now are in the bank vaults. So it's it's super ironic because the cash isn't in the bank;
Right.
it's in the crypto in the hardware wallet.
Yeah.
It's for $20 a month.
no, mine's still right here. But yeah, no. So it's I think there might be a little dust in there in mine, but definitely I got it at the peak of alt season, or at least closer to the peak of alt season, and then it slowly dwindled away. Okay, so we have 2 questions left. If you get both right, you tie, Brock. If you get one of the 2 wrong,
Allegedly, we're not sure if he had
allegedly,
7
we're
or
going to
6.
say if you fall between 6 and 7, you're doing well. So, number 9. What is Brock's favorite love song?
Oh, see, I want to say Despacito again because we played that down the aisle of our last wedding, but I feel like he probably said something else.
You're correct. Go with that.
Okay, good. Something else. We're on the right track. Getting warmer. See, maybe you can give me a half point if I get it wrong.
Okay, all right. This is. I'll give you a little hint here. I'm sure I feel like I gave Brock a couple of hints. So
You definitely did.
Yeah. So I'm gonna help you out here. This is more known. The song is more known through a movie. An 80s movie. That helps.
I don't even remember the answer.
I don't either.
What are the 80s movies that have love songs in them? Like Dirty Dancing is one, but
Oh,
I don't know if that's a...
oh.
Is there a song? A specific
Yes, there
song? That's the only movie I can think of that comes to my head from
What's
the
the
80s.
song?
I don't know the name of the song. It's wait, when he picks her up and does the little twirl.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yes,
And-
this counts.
There it is.
Time of my life.
We got it.
felt this way before. That counts.
You gave that one to me half, though,
No
because
way,
you said
that
the
was
80s.
fine. You got Dirty Dancing. I just gave you 80s movies. I mean, they made a
She
lot of
worked her
movies
way
in the
there,
80s.
yeah. That counts.
That's the romance
100%
one,
that counts.
That's
So that's 6 out of 9.
All right.
Number
this
10.
is for the win, I think.
I think you're going to get this one. What is Brock's favorite romantic dinner meal?
anything at the house. He likes ordering in Chinese food the most and watching movies. But I think
Yeah, we gotta
meal
give it-
specific meal or
No, not a
or
specific
place?
meal. So I'm going to give this one to you because what he said is any meal. He says cook together at the home.
Well, we reheat it. Does that count?
100%.
Yes, that counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look,
counts.
that's how I
we're
cook.
both so strapped on time, and we eat out so much, or we order food so much, and have so many different events and dinners that just being home, even ordering in Chinese food, is the most romantic thing possible.
That counts.
I
for
don't
sure.
disagree with that. It is very romantic. So 7 out of 10.
I think that's the winner. You might be the winner.
I think I wrote down 6 for Brock, but I'll have to go back
Really?
and check my notes.
Yeah, because I think we gave him one that we shouldn't have.
Yeah,
and
I think
that
we're being
put-
nice. I feel
These were all
Crystal really
legit.
earned all 7 of those.
For sure. So you did well. That's fantastic.
But that being
So-
said, Brock did get that Matrix question that
Yeah, that
blew all
counts
of
as
our
2.
minds.
That was pretty impressive.
That was worth 5 points right there.
Yeah,
that counts as 2.
You know what's amazing about this game, and I think because for me I've had it top of mind, so I had a bit of an advantage. But Brock and I both wouldn't tell each other about the game. So originally the REKT podcast came to me and said we're going to do this newly REKT game, and I didn't even tell Brock what he was in for. He had no idea that this was coming. So that made it a lot more fun.
Oh yeah, you could tell when he was answering. He had no idea.
With his
these
answers,
questions were coming.
he was basically going to lock it in a private key. He's like, I'm not going to tell you anything.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
This was
well, thank you
amazing.
for playing.
Thank you.
Thank you for playing with us. You did fantastic. But so that's going to do it for everything that we had planned. So we want to make sure that we give you kind of open floor to, talk about anything else that you want to mention, any other projects you're working on, anything else you're involved with, or, how can people get involved with Sense and things like that. So the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'm really excited for anyone that wants to discover more about the platform that we're building on, the EOS platform. If you are looking for community support, to me, it's one of the best and largest blockchain communities for developers. So I'm a participant in the ecosystem as a block producer, and our block producer is called Shios. We put the she in EOS. We're the first female-founded block producer, and all of our block rewards go back into the ecosystem. We create code for the community, and we also facilitate scholarships for women through our foundation. So that's just SHEOS, sheos.org. And you can find a lot more information with the whole community. I'm encouraging anyone who wants to teleport their token to also look at the open source code, because if you have created a token on Ethereum but you need to build application software and you're having trouble with that bridge, the open source code will help you just do that teleport. And then also look at sense.chat. We're really excited to have beta testers who want to give feedback. We're giving token rewards, and we're really a close-knit family, close-knit community. So just find our team. We're sense.chat, as well as on Telegram and Twitter at SenseToken. We'll be on Telegram until SenseChat fully launches groups, and then we'll have you join us there in the public channels. And then you can also find me. I'm super happy to chat if you want to tweet me at Crystal Rose or crystal@makesense.com.
Awesome. One last question, because you mentioned it before and I wasn't sure the answer. So if somebody does want to participate in the beta test, it is only for Android at the moment, right? The Apple is not available yet?
We are beta testing on iOS, and we have pre-order in the App Store. So if you go through the App Store, you won't get access. If you go through our website, SenseChat, and then send us a note, we can give you VIP access. Android is actually launching today. So my love Valentine is going to be the Android release of the beta. That's the thing that we get for today. And we're 1 month ahead of our launch on 3.14.
That's so cool. So, yeah, I actually went to go download it earlier, and I had the pre-order, so I will be messaging you.
Yeah, send us a note. We can do a video chat.
I love that you're releasing it on Pi Day. I'm a huge math numbers nerd, and I love 314, so I think that's super cool.
I just love pi.
It's also a reason to have lots of pie. We're going to have everyone over. If you're in Santa Monica, come over to our office.
What's your favorite? What's a favorite type of pie? What's your go-to?
I'm really about the spicy holiday pies. I like the pumpkin pies.
Really? Cynthia, what do you like? What's your go-to?
What's yours, pie boy? That was very condescending
holiday pie. Yeah, holiday pie for sure. Actually, you know what? Pecan pie is my favorite holiday pie.
That's a good one.
But during the summer, I really love blueberry pie.
I agree. That's the one I go with. I go blueberry all day. You got
blueberries.
Pumpkin's a vegetable. You're having vegetable pies, Crystal.
Pumpkin is delicious.
Healthy. Go with
guess
healthy.
so.
It's very good for you.
Whoa.
Says the guy. I'm a chocolate cream pie guy myself, so I'm the least healthy that I could be. But anyway,
we will get one of each for you and have you come over to our HQ.
Excellent. I'm in. I'm sold. But anyway, thank you so much for your time. We had a lot of fun talking to you. I hope everybody goes and checks out shios.org and sense.chat. And we will make sure we put all of those links in the show notes so people can find them easily. Chamber, any last words?
Yes, visit our Patreon page. We have lots of cool tiers. Help support the show so we can put out quality programming for you each and every week.
Perfect. Cynthia?
No, nothing for me. I just joined both of your Telegram groups, Crystal for Shios and Sense. I think they're both awesome. So
great,
cool.
Thank you.
Anyway, again, thank you, Crystal, so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And for everyone else out there, until next time, don't get wrecked, and that is financial advice.